Morning, everyone. Good morning, Jai Hind, Namaskar, and I welcome you all to this session of daily newspaper editorial analysis. So, I hope I am properly audible and visual to all of you. And yes, good morning. So, I hope I am properly audible and visual to all of you. I welcome you all to this session. So, in today's session, let us see that what topics we are going to discuss. The first part which we are going to discuss is with respect to the ethanol policy of the government. This is one of the policy which has been making the news for quite some time, and we are having this one topic also for discussion today. That what is our ethanol policy? What is the challenges in that, and what are the positives of that? So we are going to have a complete evaluation of this ethanol policy. Then the second topic which we are going to talk about is AI and jobs. Okay. AI and jobs. That what is the implication of the artificial intelligence on the jobs? So these are the two topics which we are going to discuss today. Now we have only got two articles today. The reason being today is Friday, and generally on Friday we are having lesser number of topics. Generally on Friday we are having lesser number of topics with respect to editorials. Some of them are political editorials. Some of them are not relevant for us, like the editorial on Bollywood and others. So that's why we are discussing this part. Now, and then we are going to talk about two questions for answer writing. So let us start today's session. The first topic which we are having is ethanol policy. Okay. The first topic which we are having today is the ethanol policy of the government. So now let us start with this. What is the core idea? When we talk about ethanol, I think you are having this one thing, that there was a policy whereby we have a target. We have seen that target of E20 blending. There was a target of E20 blending by 2025. Now this target has already been achieved. This target has already been achieved. Now we see that the government has also started promoting more and more blending of ethanol. Government has gone for E85. Government has been promoting E85 and E100 also. Government has been promoting E85 and E100 also. It has not been made mandatory, but government is in line. Government is in process of having the E85 also and E100 also. So that is one thing which we are aware about. Now, if we talk about the ethanol, I think you are all aware about this, that when we are talking about the ethanol, how we are getting this. When we talk about the ethanol, I think you are all aware about that we have 4 generation of it: 1G, 2G, 3G and 4G. This is basically from food crops. This is from non-food crops, or wood. The third is on the basis of algae, and the fourth generation is going to be based on genetically modified algae. That is the 4 different generations of ethanol. Right now, we are mostly around here. This is one thing which we are mostly using, and somewhat it has also started from the second generation. So we see that right now our entire focus is on the first part, and here again we have sugar cane. We are having sugar cane, which is the dominant source, of ethanol production in India. Ethanol production in India. It is the dominant source of ethanol production in India. That is our sugarcane. The major production of ethanol in India is coming from sugarcane. Now, if we talk about like what changes has been there in the last 10 years, what changes has been there in the last 10 years? If we talk about this, in last 10 to 12 years, what changes has been there with respect to the ethanol? We see that in the initial period in 2013-14, it was 1.5% blending. It was 1.5% blending. In 2025, it is 20% blending. We see that there is a 20% blending. We see that this is something where we are having an annual consumption. We have an annual consumption of 700 crore liters. We have an annual consumption of 700 crore liters of ethanol. So we are having a 700 crore liters consumption of ethanol per year in the present time. So when we are talking about the ethanol policy of India, that how the things have been there over the last 10 to 12 years, we can see this. We have a policy that we want to achieve 20% blending. Then we have achieved that part also. Government is nowadays promoting E85 and E100. It means we are going for more and more blending of ethanol. Then we see that when we are talking about this, the first generation is coming from food crops, second from non-food sources like wood or municipal waste or others. The third is going to come from algae, and the fourth generation is going to come from genetically modified algae. But right now we are stuck at the first generation mostly. Here we see that sugarcane is the most dominant one in the case of ethanol production. Now the question is, like, what are the potential benefits of it? Plus, at the same time, what are the challenges which has been highlighted with respect to ethanol? So let us see this. What are the potential benefits first? The potential benefits. What are the potential benefits? So what do you think? What are the potential benefits? How there is a benefit of this ethanol policy? How we can say that this is a beneficial policy for India? Can you give me some examples? How do you think this is beneficial? The ethanol part, how it is beneficial? If we talk about this, one of the major thing is that it is leading to reduction of crude oil import. Okay, so there is one thing, reduction of crude oil import. Reduction of crude oil import. That when we are using 700 crore liters of ethanol, it means that much liter of petrol we are not getting from outside. So there is a reduction. There is a reduction of crude oil import. This is going to help in saving forex reserve. This is something which is saving forex reserve. This is something which is saving the forex reserve. So one of the possible benefit which we see from this ethanol is the reduction of crude oil. Then we see that there is also environmental benefit. There is also the environmental benefit. There is also this environmental benefit. There is this environmental benefit also. We see that if we are having efficient sugarcane based ethanol production, if we are having efficient sugarcane based ethanol production, then around 50 to 70% less CO2 emission as compared to petrol. As compared to petrol. So we see that if we are having a efficient sugarcane based ethanol production, then there is 50 to 70% less CO2 emission as compared to the petrol. If we are having grain based ethanol production, so here we see that 20 to 50% less CO2 emission. The second part is we see that there is an environmental benefit also which is associated with this. Okay. So that is also one of the part which we see here. Then we see that there is also this one part, higher income for farmers. Here is diversification of income source. We see that there is a diversification of the income source. That is also one of the part which we see here, that it is having diversification of the income source for the farmers. There is also this one added advantage. We see that it is also leading to a situation where we are having a suitable alternative for managing agricultural waste. So it is suitable alternative for managing agricultural waste. Then we see that this is also something which helps in employment generation. This is also having employment generation in rural areas due to establishment of supply chain of ethanol. So this is also creating this employment generation potential as well. It is having an employment generation potential as well. Then we also see that when we are talking about this ethanol is also helping. This ethanol is also helping in diversification of energy basket. It is also having diversification of energy basket, and at the same time we are also seeing that this is also helping in reducing import and improving trade balance. So these are the potential benefits. Of how this ethanol is helping us. The potential benefits of the ethanol policy, how it is helping us. Okay. Energy basket means the source of energy for us. Like we are using petrol also, we are using ethanol also, we are using hydrogen also, we are using electric vehicles also, we are using the different sources of energy. So that is what we call as energy basket. Okay. So these are the potential potential benefits, ultimately it is also helping in achieving the NDC for India. Okay, you can also connect it with achievement of NDC, achievement of NDC and sustainable development goals. Achievement of NDCs, the nationally determined contribution and sustainable development goals. So these are the potential benefits of ethanol policy. There are so many challenges also which we have to see, but yes, these are the potential benefits with respect to the ethanol policy of India. So this is the benefit part. Now coming to the portion where we have to see the challenges with respect to ethanol. The challenges of ethanol blending. The challenges of ethanol blending. The challenges of ethanol blending. How agri waste is managed? See, we are like sending the agricultural waste for production of ethanol. Like suppose when we are talking about sugarcane, so it's not that we are taking the raw sugarcane from the field and directly using it for ethanol. We are first using the sugarcane, we are deriving the sugar from there, and then the molasses which are remaining, the remaining part of the ethanol, that is being sent for the production of ethanol. So the molasses which are there, the remaining portion, the waste from the sugarcane, that is going for ethanol production. That is something which is going for ethanol production. Now, come to this portion. What are the challenges of ethanol blending? The number one challenge is for motor vehicles. We see that if we are using E20, NDCA stands for Nationally Determined Contribution to Paris Treaty. We have a nationally determined contribution that we are going to reduce our fossil fuel. Okay. We are going to reduce the consumption of fossil fuel. So that is one of the goals of the NDC. We have a target of reducing carbon dioxide emission intensity. So that is part of the NDC. Okay. So here we see in the motor vehicles, we see that in the case of E20, there is going to be reduction of mileage by 4 to 6%. There is going to be 4 to 6% reduction of mileage in E20 blending. There is going to be 4 to 6% reduction in mileage in case of E20. Okay. We also see that the old vehicles which are not E20 compliant, the old vehicles, they also have damage to the engines and other parts due to moisture retaining capacity of the ethanol. Okay. So the older vehicles might experience damage to components due to moisture retaining ability of ethanol. So there is one of the challenge which we see, that is for the motor vehicles. That here we see that in the case of motor vehicles, we are having this older ones, the ones which are not E20 compliant, the ones which have been brought prior to 2020. Okay. Older vehicles here means prior to 2020. Prior to 2020. So those vehicles which have been purchased before 2020, they are at a higher risk as compared to the vehicles which have been purchased after 2020. So the new vehicles, they are made according to E20. They have been designed according to E20. So the impact of the E20 fuel on them is going to be lower. But in the case of the previous vehicles, in case of the vehicles which have been created prior to 2020, they are at a higher risk. They are at a higher risk. Their components, they are not made suitable for E20 blending, and it can be challenging for those vehicles. Their engines, their components, they can get corroded. There can be corrosion of their components. So this is one of the challenging situation. This is one of the challenging situation for the older vehicles. Then we also see that we have also one more important part, that is the production process of ethanol. The production process. Okay. And here again, we have two components. One is ethanol production. And the second part is the sugar cane. The sugar cane. Okay. What we see that the ethanol production, here we see that this is done. Here there is use of fossil fuels in distilleries for ethanol production. So while ethanol may be a clean fuel, the production of ethanol is not considered that much pure or that much like environment friendly. The production process of ethanol across India is using either the electricity or the fossil fuels for this purpose. So when they're using this for the purpose, there is emission of carbon dioxide and other toxic gases for ethanol production. They are also used or discharge of various chemicals which pollute the environment, pollute water and soil, which is polluting the water and soil. So this is also one of the challenging part. Then we see that the sugar cane which is there, sugar cane, this is water intensive crop. This is water intensive crop. Now, there is 1 liter ethanol costs around 2000 to 3500 liter of water. 1 liter ethanol costs around 2000 to 3500 liter of water. Then we also see that when we are talking about the sugar cane, there is also another challenge. We see that there is use of subsidized urea, which becomes a source of air pollution, soil pollution, water pollution. We see that there is also subsidized electricity. There is subsidized electricity which leads to over irrigation, and I think you are aware about the fact that this can lead to the salinity of soil, loss of fertility, loss of fertility. So there is an impact on the soil also. When we are talking about the production process, the ethanol production is going to be challenging for water and soil. The use of fossil fuels in distilleries for ethanol production, that is also challenging. Then we see that the third part of it, when we are talking about this ethanol, there is another challenge. The ethanol supply chain. The ethanol supply chain. This is something which is concentrated in a few states. It is something which is largely dominated by sugarcane. We see that there is lesser benefits to farmers, more to middlemen. More to middleman. So when we see about this, it is concentrated in a few states. This is something which is largely dominated by sugarcane. Lesser benefits to farmer, more to the middleman. So we see that there are so many other challenges which are there with respect to the sugarcane. Okay. So while we are having sugar ethanol policy, which is having several benefits, but at the same time it is also having challenges. At the same time, it is also having challenges. So I think on the basis of it, can you write the way forward? If we have to write the way forward on the basis of it, can you suggest something here? That what can be the way forward? What can be the way forward in this scenario? What can be the way forward in this scenario? When we are looking at this way forward, first thing is we have to provide economical option to other vehicles also. We have to provide other alternatives for older vehicles. Okay. We have to provide alternative fuels for older vehicles at affordable rates. Nowadays, pure petroleum is available in many of the states. Like there is E20 petrol which is available, plus there is also availability of the pure petrol. But that is costing around 30 to 40% higher. So it becomes uneconomical for the people. So we have to go for this older vehicles. They should be provided alternative fuels at affordable rates. The second part is we need to also provide the diversification of sources for production of ethanol. Less water intensive crops. Okay. We have to also gradually progress towards third generation and 4G ethanol to reduce pressure on land and soil. So we have to gradually progress towards 3G and 4G ethanol. Right now we are reaching just second generation of ethanol. हमें हाँ बस अब second generation तक पहुंचे हैं. तो we need to move forward. We need to go beyond this. We have to go beyond this. Okay. We have to also look at, we have to also focus on diversification of diversification of energy sources other than ethanol or petrol, such as hydrogen fuel. When it has been said by the government and multiple other authorities that hydrogen is the fuel of the future, many a times it has been said by government and other authorities, international organizations, that hydrogen is the fuel of the future. So when we know it, when we know that hydrogen will be the fuel of the future, so why we are wasting our energy, why we are wasting so much resources on ethanol generation? Why not focus directly on hydrogen? When this is an experimental policy, why need to focus here itself? A similar focus could have been given for the hydrogen production. We could have gone for advancement of hydrogen fuel technology rather than focusing just on this ethanol. We see that in ethanol there are multiple challenges. In hydrogen, you have to just work on safety. In hydrogen, you have to work on safety and storage. There is no environmental concern. In case of hydrogen, there is no such environmental concern. We are having lesser environmental concern or lesser challenges there. So why not to focus on hydrogen fuel? Why waste our resource, energy, entire policy discussion on ethanol when we can move towards the hydrogen fuel also? So again, this is something which we have to think about. Then we have to also strengthen the supply chain. Strengthen supply chain. We have to go for decentralized production. Decentralized production. We have to also focus on R&D for improving efficiency and reducing the environmental pressure. Moreover, there is one thing which is required, and that is transparency in policy. We require one more thing, and that will be transparency in the policy. Transparency in policy results and future framework. One of the major challenges for ethanol, we are having a lack of awareness that what will be our future policy. Okay, and nuclear energy is also there. So this is one of the part that we need to wonder that what is going to be our policy. We have to be clear about it. So from here you can see that we have covered almost all the angles of it. What is ethanol? What are the generations of ethanol? What are the sources of ethanol? What has been the achievement in the last 10 years? Then we have seen what are the potential advantages of ethanol. Second thing, we have seen what are the challenges with respect to the ethanol blending. And then we have seen that what are the way forward options, what are the options which are available to us. So this is how we have to complete one topic. इस तरीके से हमें एक टॉपिक को कंप्लीट करना होता है कि this is how we can make a complete notes on one single topic. Now from the next time, if you are getting a notes, if you are getting a question on ethanol, you have to just add on some new points. जस्ट इसमें क्या होगा कि आपको आगे कुछ नए पॉइंट्स, कुछ नए डेटा मिलेंगे, ओनली दैट थिंग विल बी रिक्वायर्ड. Otherwise, your ethanol notes will be ready from this one single discussion. I hope it's clear. Now, moving on to the next part. Moving on to the next part. Is AI taking the jobs? Is AI taking the jobs? देखो, I have said it earlier also that you should be focusing on editorial session plus current affairs session. It is already the month of August. 7th of August has come. So don't wait for the Adhyan batch. Don't wait for the Adhyan batch. Okay. So I have said it multiple times during this week. Don't wait for the Adhyan batch. Okay. Now, we are coming to this part. Is AI taking jobs? So what do you think? Is AI taking the jobs? What is your viewpoint on this? Is AI taking the jobs away from the people? Is AI taking the jobs? Now, let me give you some facts. Okay. TCS. There was layoff of 12,000 employees. There was layoff of 12,000 employees. Okay. What we see that, but recently hired 9,000 employees and in process of onboarding, 14,000 graduates. Okay. This is in process of 14,000 fresh graduates. So if you look at this one figure, just to give you one example, TCS is a very famous company in India with respect to IT sector, and this one sector has fired 12,000 employees in the last financial year. Okay. It has fired 12,000 employees in the last financial year. And then what we see that it is something which is also hiring 9,000 new employees. It is in the process of onboarding around 14,000 fresh graduates. So now the question is, why the firing? Why there is a firing? Why layoff? One other thing is skill mismatch. There is a skill mismatch. There is one of the major thing, that is skill mismatch. Okay. Second thing is, of course, AI, not AI, skill mismatch. Okay. And feasibility of retaining employees. It means it is about the economic efficiency. It is about the economic efficiency. Okay. So one of the major part which was highlighted by TCS, that it was because of the skill mismatch. It was because of the skill mismatch. And at the same time, there is also one angle that how much it is feasible to retain the employees, the economic efficiency. You know that our Indian economy is also not going through a very good phase right now. While we are having a growth rate, it is not uniform across the sectors. It is not uniform across the sectors. Okay. So now the question is AI creating jobs, or is AI changing the jobs, or is AI leading to loss of jobs? There are three angles of it. When we talk about the AI, when we are talking about AI, there is one angle that it is creating new jobs. There is one angle, it is creating new jobs. There is second angle, it is eating up jobs. There is a second angle that it is eating up the jobs, or it is leading to loss of jobs. Okay. And what we see that there is also this angle that lesser number of jobs are getting created. That due to AI, lesser number of jobs are getting created. Lesser number of new jobs getting created. So what we see that creating new jobs, like there is one such example given in this article. एक example दिया गया इस article में, which is with respect to one of the Bangalore based startups. Okay. Bangalore based startup. Here we have one example. We have one thing called as Karya, which is Bangalore based startups. This one is providing jobs especially to women, and not just women. You will find that this is providing like it is paying the rural workers, women, rural workers, for training of AI models in local languages. That it is paying, it is providing jobs especially to the women for training of AI models in local languages. Okay. So what we see that it is providing the jobs to the women, where we see that they are getting jobs for the purpose of training of the AI models. Okay. Training of the AI models. Now, loss of jobs, no such official data, no such official data, but we see that TCS layoff may have been due to adoption of AI tools. It may have been due to the layoff. The layoff may have been, but no company is officially declaring it. No company is officially declaring it. But what we see that there is also one thing which we have seen, that the numbers of new jobs getting created, it is getting lower. Okay, like just to give an example, there is also one more example which is from like in IT services. What we see that entry level openings are 40% lower. Okay. Entry level openings openings or job postings are 40% lower as compared to previous years. As compared to previous year. So we see that the entry level openings are lower. Entry level openings are quite lower. At Infosys, the share of employees less than 30 years is at the lowest level, okay, in its entire history of 15 years. Okay. At Infosys, we see that percentage of workers of age less than 30 years, this is at lowest level in 15 years. So this is at the lowest level in 15 years. So we see that the AI, there are three dimensions of it. On one side, we have seen that there is a new jobs which are getting created. Okay. We see that on the other hand, in the IT services, we see that there is one thing, the entry level openings are lower, the hiring of new graduates is lower. On the other side, we are having a loss of jobs also, but there is a lack of official data. So overall, if we look at this, the overall analysis of this, if we look at this, that new jobs getting created, there is also transformation of job market. There is also value for high skilled jobs. There is a value for high skilled jobs. Okay. But for lower skills, it is getting replaced. Low skills job getting replaced by AI. Getting replaced by AI. Okay. That the low skills job, it is getting replaced by AI. So that is also one of the challenging issue, that low skill jobs are getting replaced by AI. Then we also see here that when we are talking about the AI, we are having a lack of data. We are having a lack of data. We are having a lack of actual data with respect to impact of AI. With respect to impact of AI. So everything is just a perception. We are making a perception. So what is the requirement? What is the requirement? The first requirement is we need to have a modification in periodic labor force survey for analyzing impact of AI. We need to first understand. If we are not understanding it, how we are going to make policies? We are going for a skilling or re-skilling. So first we have to understand why the jobs are getting replaced, where the jobs are getting replaced, what new jobs are getting created, what is the requirement over there. So we need to have a thorough analysis of this impact of AI on jobs in India on a regular basis. So we can have a modification in the periodic labor force survey. We can have a change in our approach. We first need to have the data with respect to this. If we are not having the data, how are we going to make policy? After this, we can have a skilling and a reskilling policy. Skilling, upskilling, and reskilling policy. Then we can have a skilling, upskilling, and reskilling policy. We need to have a combined reform approach by companies and government for balancing efficiency and human capital. We need to have a combined reform approach by the companies as well as the government. Now think about this, why it is essential for companies. Companies are selling product. Who will purchase their product if the people are not having money? If the people are not having money, then who is going to purchase their product? वो AI के लिए बना रहे हैं क्या product? If there is any efficiency, if there is any services, or if there is anything, what we require? We require the people to purchase them. अगर लोग नहीं होंगे तो purchase कौन करेगा? The entire motive of this business and companies is to have profit. Fine, profit. How will you make profit? You need consumers. If the consumers are not having job, how are they going to purchase it in the future? उनके पास अगर जॉब ही नहीं है तो फ्यूचर में परचेज कहां से करेंगे? So then there is a need of change in that approach also. So we have to also combine reform approach by companies and government for balancing the efficiency and human capital. I hope it's clear. तो इसके बेसिस पे आपके लिए एक और क्वेश्चन है. The challenges of AI on jobs need to be examined first before making suitable policies. Comment. So this is something which you have to write in 150 words. I think you can write this answer now. So देखो, this is the benefit of editorial. You are getting fresh new perspectives on multiple topics from time to time. आपको हर एक टॉपिक पे नया पर्सपेक्टिव, नया आइडियाज मिलता है. तो दिस इज वन ऑफ द बेनिफिट्स ऑफ द एडिटोरियल. You are getting new perspective, new ideas, new content. So it is not a generic content which you get in editorials. You get a specific content in editorials. So that's why you should be reading the editorials, or you should be attending the sessions on a regular basis. So that on one side, you can have answer writing practice, that is improving your answers. Second thing is, you can also have a very much specific content for your answer writing. You can have a very much specific content for your answer writing. This is something which is going to improve your notes, the quality of your notes. Okay. So that is the relevance of the editorial section. Now, coming back to the topic. So there we have the first question. I think some of you may have written this answer. Tell me honestly, how many of you have written this answer? How many of you have written this answer? While there are several components of confrontation between India and China, climate change provides a choice to India and China for cooperation and collaboration. This was having the keyword comment in 150 words. तो कितने लोगों ने लिखा है? How many of you have written this answer? लिखा है? Both? Very good. Now, if we look at this, see the word limit, 150 words. Question is enormously huge. The keyword is comment. So you have to try to incorporate, try to address all key dimensions. Try to address all key dimensions. Okay. So this is the comment and the word limit is 150. So the suitable choice will be using multiple flowcharts. The suitable choice will be using multiple flowcharts. क्योंकि यहाँ पे limitations हैं. There is a limitation, so you have to use multiple flowcharts. Okay. So this is one of the part. This is one of the part that how we have to approach the answer writing. कैसे approach करना है answer writing में ये भी समझना जरूरी है. Now when we are writing this answer in the introduction, you can mention about the current example that visit of the China's envoy on climate change. I have told you last day, okay, मैंने आपको last day बताया था कि there was a visit of China's envoy to India on climate change in the month of April 2026. Okay. So this is how you can start. तो जो लोग current में introduction में struggle कर रहे हैं कि how to start introduction, you can sometimes mention the current context also. कई बार आप current context को भी mention कर सकते हो जो कि इस topic से relate करके हो. So since topic is talking about climate change, okay, climate change, so you can connect it. Now, what are the main words? One of the word is confrontation. Okay, and then we have cooperation and collaboration. We have cooperation and collaboration with respect to climate change. With respect to the climate change. So three words. One is confrontation. Second is climate change. And the third one is cooperation plus collaboration. ये तीन हमारा main dimension है इस essay का. Sorry, इस answer का. There are three main words of this answer. One is confrontation, climate change, cooperation, and collaboration. Keeping this in mind, first of all, what we can do, since the main focus is 2 and 3. Main focus is 2 and 3. And this is something which we have to just talk about. So first of all, you can mention the elements of confrontation. First of all, you can make elements of confrontation. You can make this flow chart on this topic. You can make the flow chart on this topic that what are the different elements of confrontation. Last day in our session, we have discussed about this. Last day in our session, we have discussed about this part that what are the elements of confrontation between India and China. That is one of the part. Second thing is the impact of climate change. So here, now when you have to transition, जब आपको यहां से transition करना है, you have mentioned the elements of confrontation. Here you can, how you have to link, you will write a line. While there are several elements of confrontation between India and China, or while there are several elements of differences between India and China, there is one factor which has a common impact and a possibility of cooperation and collaboration with each other. That is climate change. Okay. So, यहाँ पर एक line आप लिख सकते हो कि after writing this element of confrontation, you can write the line, while there are several elements of differences between India and China, climate change has climate change equally impacts both the nations. Okay. Climate change impacts both the nations. फिर यहां पे एक ये लाइन लिखने के बाद व्हाट यू कैन डू इज यू कैन मेक अनदर पार्ट, क्लाइमेट चेंज इम्पैक्ट, क्लाइमेट चेंज इम्पैक्ट, एंड देन अगेन मेक द फ्लो चार्ट. इसको भी एक्सप्लेन मत करो, जस्ट write the flow chart that how climate change is impacting it. Okay. Then after, write the third line. This is line 1. This is connecting. Connecting. The line 2, which will be connecting now, that it offers the common challenge of India and China offers a possibility of cooperation and collaboration, offers a possibility of cooperation and collaboration on climate change. Okay, on climate change. So then here you can mention that how the cooperation plus collaboration can be there with respect to the climate change, how they can cooperate with respect to climate change. अभी तक दोनों को फ्लो चार्ट में लिखा है. नाउ राइट इट समवट पॉइंट वाइज कि कहां पे वो कॉपरेट और कोलैबोरेट कर सकते हैं, कहां पे वो कॉपरेट एंड कोलैबोरेट कर सकते हैं. तो I have shown you that option also in terms of climate funding, in terms of climate change technology, in terms of sponge cities, in terms of the co-development of many other green energy and others, there can be a cooperation and collaboration. तो जो भी portions हमने discuss किया था, now here we have to mention point wise. अब इसको यहां पे point wise बता दो कि what are the elements where we can cooperate. तो 4-5 ऐसे एलिमेंट्स बता दो विथ रिस्पेक्ट टू फंडिंग, टेक्नोलॉजी, ग्रीन एनर्जी, स्पंज सिटीज एंड अदर्स. तो दिस इज व्हाट यू विल राइट इन कॉपरेशन एंड कोलैबोरेशन, एंड देन यू विल कम डायरेक्टली टू द पार्ट ऑफ कंक्लूजन. अब देखो यहां पे आपको वे फॉरवर्ड नहीं लिखना है. You don't have to write way forward in this answer. The reason being that you have already mentioned climate change. You have already said that how they can cooperate and collaborate. यहां way forward लिखने की जरूरत नहीं है. Here what you can do is you can come directly to conclusion. And last day I was giving you some subtle hint that the 21st century can be a century of Asia. The 21st century can be a century of Asia. So try to link it now. That the 21st century can be a century of Asia, but the issue of climate change is equally, the issue of climate change can be a century of India. उसके बाद ऐसा लिख सकते हो, the issue of climate change can become a common link, a common element for cooperation between the major powers of Asia, that is India and China, for achieving a sustainable development page, or sustainable, for achieving sustainable development, for achieving sustainable development. तो इसको आप यहां पे लिंक कर सकते हो कि दिस एशिया कैन बी लाइक द 21st century can be a century of Asia, and climate change offers an element of cooperation which can help in realizing this goal and achieving a sustainable development. कि climate change वो मौका दे रहा है कि this can be an opportunity that how we can make it a century of Asia. Okay, so this is what you have to write in this answer. आई होप क्लियर है आंसर कैसे लिखना है, क्या लिखना है, क्या क्या एलिमेंट्स हो सकते हैं. तो देयर वाज अ क्वेश्चन ऑन द कीवर्ड कमेंट. आई होप नाउ इट इज क्लियर दैट हाउ यू कैन अप्रोच विद द कीवर्ड कमेंट. देन देयर वाज द सेकंड पार्ट, examine the concerns of the states with respect to the 16th Finance Commission recommendation on grants. Okay. This was the question. नहीं तो कॉपरेशन एंड कोलैबोरेशन आपको पहले लिखना था. दैट वाज द मेन पार्ट ऑफ द आंसर. नाउ दिस क्वेश्चन हियर, हाउ कैन इट स्टार्ट? वी कैन, नाउ देयर इज टू ऑप्शन, यहां पे दो ऑप्शन है. फर्स्ट थिंग इज यू कैन सिंपली मेंशन अबाउट फाइनेंस कमीशन अंडर द कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन. एक तो ऑप्शन आपके पास ये है कि फाइनेंस कमीशन कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन से स्टार्ट करो एंड देन मेंशन इन अ फ्लो चार्ट दैट 16th Finance Commission recommendation. So if you ask me, I will prefer this. या फिर आप डायरेक्टली 16th फाइनेंस कमीशन के रिकमेंडेशन से भी स्टार्ट कर सकते हो. इट ऑल डिपेंड्स ऑन यू. तो फर्स्ट थिंग इज फाइनेंस कमीशन विथ रिस्पेक्ट टू कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन, फ्लो चार्ट विथ रिस्पेक्ट टू फाइनेंस कमीशन रिकमेंडेशन. ये दूसरा पॉइंट हो गया. थर्ड पॉइंट इज द कंसर्न्स ऑफ द स्टेट्स. हमने एक एक करके सारे कंसर्न्स पे चर्चा की थी कि व्हाट आर द कंसर्न्स ऑफ द स्टेट्स. द फर्स्ट मेंशन द कंसर्न्स ऑफ द स्टेट. देखो, दिस इज हाउ यू हैव टू डिफरेंशिएट बिटवीन द क्लास नोट्स एंड द आंसर. आंसर में पहले आपको कंसर्न को लिखना है, नॉट द इंटेंट. द फर्स्ट यू हैव टू राइट द कंसर्न्स. तो फर्स्ट यू विल बी राइटिंग द कंसर्न्स दैट ऑफ द स्टेट्स. हम लोगों ने 4-5 कंसर्न्स पर चर्चा की थी कल. We have discussed all 4-5 concerns of the states, so write them. Then you have to mention that what is the intent of finance commission. What is the intent of finance commission? You can mention it. Okay. Then you can mention that what can be the possible way forward. इसमें क्या way forward हो सकता है, इसको आप लिख सकते हो. The way forward can be with respect to like revision in the formula. Revision in the formula of vertical distribution 41% and all. Then there can be more grant, plus at the same time we can also give more revenue raising capacity of the states. They should be empowered enough to raise their own revenues, raise their own sources of revenues. Okay. So then you can mention, यहां पे सजेशन में आप एक पॉइंट दे सकते हो, रिवीजन इन फॉर्मूला. रिवीजन इन फॉर्मूला, that is 41% and horizontal also. Second part is grants. It can be reconsidered. It can be reconsidered. Third thing is raising the revenue earning potential. And then maintaining fiscal discipline. Maintaining fiscal discipline. So this is one of the part which you can mention. And in the conclusion, you can highlight the role of Finance Commission as enabling fiscal federalism. यहां पे जो आपका कीवर्ड होगा that will be the fiscal federalism. कि फाइनेंस कमीशन is the one which has to make sure that there is a fiscal federalism also which is maintained between the union and the state. तो इस पार्ट को आप हाईलाइट कर सकते हो इन द कंक्लूजन. तो द कीवर्ड विल बी द फिस्कल फेडरलिज्म. स्टार्ट विथ कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन, मेंशन अबाउट द रिकमेंडेशन ऑफ एफसी, थर्ड पार्ट कंसर्न्स, देन इंटेंट, देन वे फॉरवर्ड. ज्यादा से ज्यादा आपको फ्लो चार्ट का यूज करना पड़ेगा बिकॉज देयर आर सो मेनी थिंग्स व्हिच यू हैव टू राइट. यूज फ्लो चार्ट्स, लेस वर्ड्स, मोर कॉन्सेप्ट्स. Less words and more content, like more concepts. That is something which you have to excel at. इससे आपका आंसर राइटिंग और बेहतर होगा. You have to use less number of words, but you have to give more content. I hope it's clear. ऐसे तो सभी का इंट्रो सेम हो जाएगा. The thing is, there will not be everyone giving the mains exam who will be studying from me. तो ऐसा तो नहीं कि जितने लोग एग्जाम दे रहे हैं वो सब लोग मेरे से ही पढ़ रहे हैं. At the end of the day, there will be around 15,000 students who will be giving the exam. Out of those 15,000 students, there will be 5,000 students who will be writing the answers in a proper manner. ठीक है. उस 15,000 में से लगभग 5,000 होंगे जो आंसर्स को प्रॉपरली लिखेंगे. And out of those 5,000, 2,500 are going to be selected. ठीक है. उस 5,000 में से 2,500 ऐसे होंगे जो सिलेक्टेड होंगे. So you have to be first there in that 5,000. Then you have to be there in that 2,500. And then you have to be there in the top 100. Okay. So don't worry about it. Okay. So like we are generally seeing that the views of our editorial session are going up to 700, 800, 900. So there are 900 people from our side. So those 900 people from our side, they will be writing this, but the other may be writing something else. Okay. So thank you, everyone. Take care. All the best. We will meet again on Monday. Right now, the current affair classes are going on at 3:45. So current affair classes is going on at 3:45 p.m. in the evening or afternoon, whatever you say that. Okay. And then we will meet again in the editorial session on Monday. Practice all the questions. Try to write at least 10 answers. This week also, we have got at least 10 questions for you. 10 topics, not 10 topics. We have got more than 12, 13 topics. 12 से 13 topics हैं, 10 answers हैं. Practice them and you will have an edge in the answer writing and your preparation gradually over the next 3-4 months.